In addition to being Magic's cutest set, Bloomburrow also has one of my new favorite mechanics in Offspring. And as we can see from the MTG wiki, Offspring is a mechanic that was introduced to represent the familiar nature of the set's characters. And the reminder text is Offspring cost. You may pay an additional cost as you cast a spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a 1/1 token copy of it. And as you can see on the left side of the screen, we have Warren Warleader, Zinnia Valley's Voice, Darkstar Augur, Iridescent Vinelasher, Manifold Mouse, and Pawpatch Recruit, and then a number of others. And these cards all have Offspring with various costs. Well, Zinnia gives Offspring, but this type of mechanic I really like. It reminds me of Squad from Warhammer 40k, except Offspring can only be paid one time, whereas Squad can be paid any number of times. The difference with Offspring is that you get more unique abilities on the cards, whereas the Warhammer Squad cards are mostly enter the battlefield effects or static effects. As you can see with Warren Warleader, this one has an on attack trigger. Darkstar Augur has an upkeep trigger, and so on and so forth. And so Offspring, I feel, presents a more kind of like a diverse set of creature abilities that can be copied because you can only do it once, and it's a 1/1 copy, so that ability, I feel, can be a little bit stronger than on a Squad card. And as we can see here, the Bloomburrow tokens are going to include cards that have Offspring. So Flowerfoot Swordmaster, which I believe is down here. Yes, Flowerfoot Swordmaster. That is also the thumbnail of the video. And this card has its... Here, I'll just drag it over here. This card has its token copy in here, in the Bloomburrow token pile. Warren Warleader is also on there, and then they're going to continue spoiling as we go. We're not quite done with spoiler season at time of recording. And so what I really love about Offspring is it's another token mechanic, and it combines with cards like Anointed Procession, Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, Mondrak Lurid Dominus, Adrix and Nev, Primal Vigor, and so on and so forth. O'Hare Talk is another one. And I love token abilities that are not just like 1/1 soldiers and kind of like generic tokens. Tokens that are copies. I know it's a little bit tricky to do it in paper unless you have this actual token copy or like the copy token generic thing or an infinity token. But I just love tokens because you can copy the token copies. You can do fun things with those tokens. There's cards like Rosie, Cotton of South Lane. When it enters the battlefield, you create a food token, and whenever you create a token, put a +1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. I believe this card has some combos with it. Mirkwood Bats also, whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. And then there's a variety of other cards here that work with tokens. Audience with Trostani is actually an interesting one that has not seen a ton of EDH Rec play, but this card creates a 0/1 plant token, then you draw cards equal to the number of differently named creature tokens you control, which certainly these Offspring tokens will have different names, as you can see. And so I really like the flexibility of Offspring, and it works with all these cards here. I'm going to scroll down slowly, and it's really cool because it just fits in so many different strategies with Offspring, and it's pretty flexible. You don't have to pay it. You probably want to pay it a lot of the time. You're kind of incentivized because it's on the card. It's kind of a good thing to do. I'm curious, though, if Zinnia Valley's Voice will see more play in Commander than the other pre-con decks, because this one does not touch green, so you are missing out on the Doubling Season Parallel Lives effects. However, it does touch white, so you can get Mondrak, Anointed Procession, O'Hare Talk, and a number of other cards, Rosie, if you want. I think this combos with green cards, but yeah, nevertheless, Zinnia gives your creature spells Offspring 2, and it gets +X with 0x number of other creatures you control with base power 1, which will be those Offspring tokens. And so I'm just really excited about this mechanic. It reminds me a little bit of Myriad. It reminds me of Encore, where you're creating token copies of creatures you have on the battlefield, which are generally going to be stronger than a generic Saproling token or a 2/2 soldier type of thing. And so I'm just a huge fan of this type of strategy. As we can see at EDH Rec, top commanders for the token theme, which the token theme is one of the top, it's like a top 6 theme on EDH Rec overall. These cards all, I think, will work with the Offspring cards here, and just chuck them in the decks. throw them in there, see how it works. Jared, Mirror of the Wild, or Garrett, is this card is kind of busted by itself. This card just combos with a ham sandwich. So you throw that in there, you throw the Offspring in there, and you have a good time. Some of my favorite Offspring cards of Bloomburrow that they printed, obviously Zinnia is going to be an interesting build around. Warren War Leader, I think pretty much you go down by the rarity. The higher the rarity, I think the cooler the Offspring effects. The Darksteel Augur is a Dark Confidant effect. Warren War Leader gets you rabbit tokens and pumps your attacking creatures. Iridescent Vine Lasher is landfall, life loss to opponents, Paw Patch recruits. When your creatures are targeted, you get +1 counters. Tender Wild Guide. This one's cool because it's a mana dork, and then you make another mana dork, and then you can put a +1 counter on the creature and grow it over time. I love that the concept of mana dorks scaling into the late game. So Tender Wild Guide really scales into the late game. So yeah, early game you draw it, you just play it as a 2/2. You can do the thing, and then if you draw a late game, you get 2 of them, and you can kind of go crazy with those. And so those are kind of my favorite few that they've spoiled so far. And so I'm just curious, what do you guys think in the audience? Which Offspring cards are your favorites? What do you think of the Offspring mechanic overall? Do you think it's going to help these token strategies significantly? Is tokens as a strategy kind of overrepresented? Does it need Offspring? Is Squad better? Is Myriad better? Is Encore better? I mean, they're all different, obviously, but just in the general grand scheme of things, what do we think of Offspring? Is it a great mechanic, good mechanic? Is it your favorite mechanic from Bloomburrow? I know I did a poll on that. I think Offspring and what was the other one? It was Gift. Gift and Offspring, I think, were the top 2 mechanics chosen in the poll. And so I may do a gift video in the future. As you can see on the Bloomburrow tokens, there's the fish. You can gift a tap fish. But yeah, that's beside the point. Offspring is my favorite personal mechanic in Bloomburrow. And I will try to keep these videos more on a schedule. Currently, I've been a little bit out of whack on the scheduling lately, so I'll try to get back on track. I'll try to post every 2 to 3 days on average. And so yeah, got to grow the channel, got to get to 1,000. I'm at 400 right now, so I'd really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe on the video, and let me know what you guys think.